Welcome everyone to the first Lazy Millennial Movement feature. I'm so thrilled to have our featured guest, Zakiya Esper, with us today.
Thanks for having me. So excited here.
Yeah, so Zakiya has an interesting professional path, and she's doing some awesome things in Columbia, South Carolina, where we both hail from. She spent a great deal of time as a juvenile probation officer in South Carolina, and she noticed that there was a gap for support services for those delinquent teens that she served. And there were several mentorship programs in the Columbia area, but they were either at capacity or weren't in a place to accept new teens. And so she wanted to fill that gap. Using some of the previous experience she had with nonprofits and her experience with the juvenile probation center, she was able to create a concept that I'll let her explain in a little more detail, but it's called Sowing Seeds into the Midlands. And I'm going to share a few pictures from her website and a few clips of her video in this interview. But literally, Zakiya, as I was going through your website, like I had a lump in my throat just reading it. It was beautiful, the things that you're doing for the Columbia community. So Zakiya went to College of Charleston and graduated in 2010, and then moved back to Columbia, where she's now doing great things in the community. So again, thank you, Zakiya. And if you could tell everyone a little bit about Sowing Seeds into the Midlands, that would be great.
Yeah, sure. Thank you again for having me. I'm really excited, especially to be the first. What an honor. So I'm the founder and executive director of Sowing Seeds into the Midlands, and we're a nonprofit organization that provides support services for Midlands youth. And you did a really good job of summarizing. But one of the things I like to make sure that people understand is our main objective is to interrupt the school to prison pipeline via education, advocacy, and direct services. Um, like you said, I was a juvenile probation officer, and it's so funny as a millennial, we're like for a long time, it was 4 years. My dad retired after like 30 years at the same job, and he's like 4 years. It's
I know, and
really
for me, I've never been at a job for more than a year. So I'm like, oh my gosh, 4 years, that's a
or
long time.
I mean, it felt like a long time to me, but it wasn't that long, but it was long enough for me to see, the extreme gaps in services and the needs that weren't being met of young people and mostly of young Black people.
Yeah.
Most of the kids that I ran into when I was a PO were Black and brown kids and Black and brown boys, to be more specific. And the things that they were doing, the the behavior that they were exhibiting is inherently adolescent behavior.
Mm-hmm.
I try to that's a part of our educational work where I'm in the community speaking to adults about the ways in which we respond to the things that we should expect kids to do. The science tells us that their brains aren't fully developed for boys until they just changed the year. I think it's 25 now. And
25?
for men. So it's men. And then for
That explains a lot. That
a,
explains a lot.
a lot. And
What is
for
it for women, for context? Do you know what it is for women?
I think it's like 18 or 19.
Okay, that's what I was thinking, like 19. Okay.
Yeah. And so, and I can fact check that. I need to double check, but I know it. I know it's at least 25 for men.
Wow.
Um, but what I'm saying is, we're criminalizing kids for behavior that we know scientifically, like the research says this is what they should be doing.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it's the same as I would say sending a 2-year-old to court for throwing a tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, is it behavior that we want them to do? No. But is it age appropriate? Absolutely. And so why are we taking our kids to court for behavior that we know they should be doing? Like, I don't, it's beyond me. So my whole, then, and the other half of that is, so we take them to court and we put them on probation and we tell them to get a mentor or go to anger management or do community service. And there's literally, Megan, literally nowhere for them to go in our community. Nowhere. I did it for 4 years. I did that work for 4 years in Charleston and Richland County.
So you
I,
know firsthand, this is not an outsider coming in and saying, "Oh, there are no options for these kids." Like you worked in this system, you know for a fact that there are these resources that people are
right,
expecting them to go seek
right.
out.
No, and we're court ordering them to do it. And I never once got a kid into a mentoring program, not once. And I
Wow.
touched over 400 kids, and no one ever took any of my kids. The only places I could get my kids to get anger management was the Department of Mental Health, which is sometimes good, but sometimes it's as much of a system as DJJ is.
Mhm.
And so the services were not reputable, and some of the services that were out there were either not reputable, they were full, or they didn't want kids with a criminal record.
Hmm. The kids
So
who
that's
needed it the most, arguably.
absolutely, absolutely. There are lots of services, a lot of people don't realize actually behind the fence, which is where kids are in jail,
Hmm.
tons of services. And so my question is, why are we not dedicated to helping kids before they get in jail? You
Right.
know, if the kids that are in the middle, you can't go to jail without being on probation.
Hmm.
There's nothing for kids on probation, but you're happy to service black and brown boys while they're behind the gate.
Hmm.
No.
So this is great because I think a lot of people, regardless of the topic or the sector or the industry, they see things going on that they don't like or that they don't agree with, or they think, there has to be a better way to handle this. I would say, especially for millennials, we don't necessarily want to stick with the status quo if we see that it's not working. We want to introduce new ideas, try new things. But I think there's an implementation gap. So, you have these ideas that I want to do something, I want to make this better, but it's like, how do I come up with that, and how do I create that and put that into action? So, based on your experiences with the juveniles, how did you take that concept of wanting to do something better to make a change in the community and actually turn that into something tangible, like turn that into your nonprofit organization?
Right. And I'm glad I brought my bag up here, if you will indulge me for 1 second.
Yes, of
So
course.
I love showing people this. And my husband hates that I carry it around because he's like, you're gonna cry for a week, and I probably will. But this is the very first draft of Sowing Seeds into the Midlands. And I love to pull it out for people who are just like you just said, like they're like, well, where do like I see a problem, but where do I start? And I always it's so nasty. It's like it's got like
Like, you're
stains.
gonna have to preserve it eventually, like laminate it or something.
But then I'll put it out for moments like this, Megan. That's what he keeps
This
saying. I'm like, I
is
can't.
perfect.
It's like ripped. It's ripped in. This is the second page, and this is I wrote this in 2011,
Okay.
and so it's now 2018.
And when
So
did you leave the juvenile center?
2014.
Okay. So you
So
wrote this in 2011, 3 years before you quit your day job, so to speak.
absolutely.
Okay.
And what I always tell people, the first step to like, and I know we are sort of speaking generally, but for me, it's a charitable reason that I left, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
I left very specifically to go into the nonprofit industry. And
Mm-hmm.
I really think it's important that we acknowledge that there are ways as people, but especially millennials, that we can help, and it doesn't have to be about business.
Mm-hmm.
And a 501(c)(3), or to become an actual official nonprofit, the only the only reason you would do that is for tax purposes. If you plan to get a grant, if you plan to,
Mm-hmm.
um, collect donations, then yes, you need a 501(c)(3). If you just want to help, like there are ways to help without getting a 501(c)(3). So I first want to say that, because people call me all the time and say, I want to help girls. I'm like, so go help girls. You don't have to have a
Yeah.
501(c)(3).
You can
Like,
volunteer on the weekends. You can donate money. You can,
yeah.
and
And
get a mentor.
you can call it whatever you want. Like, you and your friends can call it, like, the do good girls, and y'all can go to churches and take people's
Mm-hmm.
kids out. If people let you take their kids, you're not like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you can do a lot of things without making it on a such an official level. But I
Mm-hmm.
was clear that spiritually there was a call for me to do something different, but it was also important for me to
That's right.
write down what it was that I was looking to do, and why, why this way. And
Mm-hmm.
so this first draft I wrote this when I was still working in Charleston. And if you read it, it's a lot different from what I'm doing now, because I was in a space where I was trying to meet the needs that were in Charleston, which are
Mm-hmm.
similar but not the same as here. And
Okay.
so I think my advice to people who are like, I see a problem and I want to fix it. Um, I kind of encourage them to stop talking, like stop talking, because I mean, I speak really well. Like I can
Mhm.
talk about stuff all day. I talk about politics, but ask me to write a thinking piece. I'm not gonna get very far because I don't really care. Like I care, but I don't know enough.
Yeah, that's not your thing.
That ain't my wheelhouse. My husband all day. Me, no. So I always encourage people to stop talking and get on a laptop or your phone or a notepad, whatever your writing utensil of choice is, and get it out on paper because
Mhm.
we can get stuck in the analysis paralysis or we can get stuck in like the dreaming
Mhm.
and nothing ever happened.
Yeah.
Um, so that was my first step to write this, and I did a lot more writing after this. Once I got this out, it was like no turning back.
That's wonderful. And we're similar in that respect because I have to write everything down. Like when I came up with the concept of lazy millennial, I was just writing because I didn't know what I was trying to do. I just knew what was making me uncomfortable and what I wanted to do something about. But then sometimes through that process of writing something down, you're
Mhm.
able to process it in a different way. And then you can like visually see solutions or gaps like you talked about where you can jump in and fix something, whether it's business related, for profit, not for profit, just like your personal time, anything. So I think that's really important. That's a great point.
We have to plan. We have to have a
Mhm.
plan. Yeah.
Yeah, have a plan. So okay, so your plan, you started writing down
Mhm.
and it grew and it blossomed from there. What was that process like when you were still working full time and trying to
Whew.
generate this concept that you came up with and put it into something actionable? What was that time period like in your life? And
Yeah,
what did you have going on personally in your life at that point also?
right. So I wrote that in 2011. I also got married in 2011.
Okay, so
So
some pretty big things. Yeah, pretty
it,
important.
yeah, and I was working, like you said, full time at DJJ. I had a caseload of over 100 kids, so I was overworked. I was so stressed out with like the workload that I would literally on Sunday nights I would be physically ill, like just thinking about having to go back in there and do and not help anybody because I wasn't helping anybody because there was nowhere for me to go. And to just like face the amount of work that it was such an unreasonable expectation. Um, so I had that. Fast forward to living in Richland County. When I moved back here, I was pregnant, 6 months pregnant, and I had a much more manageable caseload, but I was pregnant, so it's a little busy, sick,
And this was
and
Ryan with your first child, right?
yeah, with Ryan, that was 2013 when I was Well, she was born in 2013,
Okay.
and that's when I like kind of got more serious about it. If I'm being completely honest, once I wrote this, like I made a little bit like I would take baby steps. It wasn't until 2013 when I really like I went and got the incorporation for the state. I started raising money. I did a fundraiser so that I could have enough money to apply for my 501c3. It's like $850. Um,
Mhm.
did my first event. That was a Zumbathon. I charged like $10 a ticket. People were really excited about it. People loved it. That was really popular then. I don't know if you remember when Zumbathons were like a thing.
Yeah, Zumba was like big stuff.
It was a
And
thing.
especially in Charleston too. I know
Yeah,
I did that summer program at College of Charleston. We went to Zumba like every week,
all the
literally.
time. It was a thing and people loved it, so that was really successful. So what I remember about that time is that people were really excited about just the prospect of me doing something,
Mhm.
um, which I really found it surprising because I didn't think I was proposing anything like innovative or groundbreaking. Like I didn't make up
And when
mental.
you say people, you mean like people in your network or people like professionally that you were trying to make connections with? What people are you?
Network. So
Okay.
like my coworkers, because we were still kind of in the trenches, and they were like, "That's exactly what we need. You got to do
Mhm.
it." My family was really supportive. I would send them drafts and stuff, and I have a cousin who writes, and she would like kind of proofread and make sure that things. But I wasn't really doing like I was doing, but I was still being very safe. Um,
Mhm.
and I don't want to be super churchy, but like spiritually, I knew that I was feeling a push.
Okay.
And things at my job began to be like more and more stressful for me. The issues that I had with the ways that kids were being treated
Mm-hmm.
became more and more apparent. The longer I stayed, the more blaring it was that more harm was being done than good, and that I was complicit in that harm, and I felt responsible.
Mm-hmm.
Um, in 2014, after my husband and I fasting and going to service after service and feeling like have you ever gone to church and you feel like every single time I'm like, why is he in my, is he tapping
Like,
my
were
phone?
you with me in my house this week? Like, how do you? Yeah.
No,
Mm-hmm.
for real. Like, if there was the last time it happened, some girls at church were sitting behind me and they were like, can you just quit already? Like, somebody said that. Like, can you just quit your job already? Because
Wow.
we need to get a new word. And like, he keep giving you this word. This is for you. Can you just quit so we can get something new? It
Is it
was
so you
that.
keep going until you act on that
Yeah.
message?
Yeah. And I went to him and he was like, no, I had no idea you were thinking about, like, he had no idea. So that was God, right? So anyway, I quit, and there was definitely there were some questions, you know, because I didn't have any funding sitting in the wings waiting for me. I didn't have my 501(c)(3) yet. I didn't have a seed. People often sometimes I get into these spaces with other nonprofit EDs, and people are like, well, who gave you your seed money? And I'm like, ain't no seed money.
What? No, see.
seed,
Faith.
you
You had
know?
faith the size of a mustard seed, but it wasn't no seed money.
Planting no seed money. This is it. It was literally, and that's what we call grassroots to me. When you see a need and you literally form an organization to meet that need from nothing. That's grassroots. And so that's the kind of work that we're doing. But I definitely had some pushback. I won't even call it pushback, Megan. I'm gonna say there were people in my family that were
Okay,
concerned.
like
That,
genuinely concerned about how y'all were gonna provide for yourselves and for your family, type thing.
yeah, like my insurance, my daughter's insurance,
Mm-hmm.
state job. And I was like, I'll make some money. Like, I'll make it happen. I'll find something. I didn't have the answers. And
Mm-hmm.
that's not something that I encourage people to do. Um, but I still stand by the decision for myself because I know that's what I felt led to do. And
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's really important that while it's entrepreneurial, this lifestyle is like, it can be really glamorous. I do not sensationalize it because then it becomes about like leaping and taking this. It's like, if nobody told you to leap, please don't jump. Because, like, nobody's down there to catch you. And if somebody told you to jump, somebody's down there to catch you. If ain't nobody tell you to jump, you need to stay where you are. And I, not to say that I'm different or better, I just know what I heard.
Mm-hmm.
And so we were able to, secure Medicaid, and I don't have any, I don't, that's not something that brings me any shame. Some people have a hard time with that. And I think in the beginning I did. I was like, man, this is not how I thought this was gonna look. But I also didn't ask, like, well, Lord, if I jump, how's this gonna look? I ain't asked. I just jumped. So people were concerned. People were really supportive, and people were really like inspired, which I don't like stuff like that. I never want anybody to think that this road is paved with, like, roses and all. It's not that. It's not that. Do I love what I do? Do I feel fulfilled? Am I at peace? Yes. But I'm like, I wake up every day, like, checking emails and trying to get back to the office,
Mm-hmm.
calling kids back, and like following up with mentors and following up with board members. Like,
You're putting in the work. And then
it's,
at that point, was it just you? Like, did you have support? What was your, like, not even just your support system, which, of course that's your family and your close friends and whatnot, but actual support, like, for sowing seeds, like, or was it just you, like, out here hustling, doing it all?
I had 4 board members,
Okay.
and they were super supportive. But we were all brand new. None of them had ever served on a board. None of them had ever run or worked in a nonprofit. They all had different skill sets, and we all had great intentions. But when I say we were flying by the seat of our pants, like we was like, we want to help. Where do we start? Let's have lunch and talk about what we're gonna do.
So
And that's what we did. And I don't advise that. I love them and I appreciate them. And they'll always be our founding board. But we weren't ready. And I own that, that I don't think I think when I began programming, I hadn't laid enough foundation. Does
Okay.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you started trying to add on these other layers, whereas maybe this foundational layer wasn't completely ready for
Right.
additional layers yet.
And it's still, I'm in a space now where I can, I have a coach. I think I spoke about her a little bit earlier.
Okay.
I have a coach. She's a nonprofit guru. She's amazing.
Okay.
And she is really doing a good job of helping me see like some of my blind spots, the places where I was so eager. And I think it's really important to be transparent about it. I jumped into it with both feet because I sensed the urgency. Like I can still call the names of kids that I sent away to boot camp and then I watched go to jail and they might still be there today. And I've been gone from there for 4 years. And so there was such a sense of urgency in me. I was like, this can't wait. And y'all playing. So let me go do this work. Where now that I should be in a position where I can be the executive director, I'm still running programs and I'm still writing grants and I clean the bathrooms, Megan, like I do it all. So had I laid the foundation, I would have been in a better position to build team where I could step away from program and really be CEO. But I'm in the weeds and I've been in the weeds. So, and we're doing good work, but I'm not making the best use of my time because I didn't in the beginning.
Okay. Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And I think that's important because, like you said, a lot of people see it and it looks very glamorous, not even just from not from a lifestyle or I'm going to get paid a lot, but like, oh, I run a nonprofit, I'm doing these great things in the community, but don't necessarily understand what all goes into that and like the work that's required, the skills that are required. And that's something that I wanted to touch on too. Like you mentioned writing, especially like grant writing. When I was reading your website, I noticed the copy on your website is beautiful. Like, I don't know if you wrote that or if you have your cousin maybe wrote it or whoever, but it's beautiful. What would you say about like some of those skills that millennials or people in our generation could build or improve if they have those foundational skills that would help in a field like this?
Yeah, writing is key. Writing is key. And I'm lucky to write well and enjoy writing. I love to write. And so I don't have a problem with writing a grant or, like you said, the copy on the website. My one of our old board members, Jessica Boyd. Do you know Jessica Boyd?
Yeah, she went to Northeast, right?
Yeah,
Jess together. Yeah.
Jess is our graphic designer.
Okay.
A lot of people she's awesome. And she was our board president for the first 3 years.
Wow.
And so she and I have done a really good job. And when I tell you, Megan, we have written and rewritten that stuff so many times.
I bet.
And I mean, so many times, and it'll probably change again because it's so important to me. Like language is so important, especially when you're working with a group of people that feel like you're talking about me. And so the ways in which I refer to young people and the ways that I talk about the experiences that they have or what I'm trying to do, like they look at that stuff, and for them to be comfortable coming, like that's something we have to be intentional about. Like I don't say you notice. You didn't see at risk anywhere on my website. You didn't see troubled. You don't see like delinquent. You know what I'm saying? We don't use those terms because it's derogatory. Like I'm not going somewhere where somebody's calling me troubled. Like I can't wait to go to that.
Mentoring me and building me up, but you're referring to me as troubled or at risk or, like it's not the vibe that you're going for with sowing seeds.
And people do it all the time. They're like, do you work with troubled youth? I'm like, no. Oh, you don't? Mm-mm. And I know that I'm being like, I'm clear that there's a petty in my, like it's right there in my spirit, and I mean it. No, I don't. And that's your term, but I don't see them that way. They are whole people. I see them outside of their outside of their behavior. They're whole people. I really pray that nobody ever decides to label me for like one thing that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, what would they say?
Especially depending on what they chose, like that could be all bad.
All bad. Pick a year from when I was at College Charleston.
Ooh.
I'm just thinking about what people would call me. I don't want them to call me that. But I think writing is key, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but like I have gotten okay, I'm gonna be that person. So when I get an email from someone who like I think I mentioned to you like when you sent me the email and you were like, sorry it's so long. I was like, no, thank you.
Yeah, you were like, I love structured emails.
Please, somebody. Like I can't nothing burns me more. And some of my friends say like I'm a little bit of a snob, but I whatever. Don't email me and be like unclear or like, I'm cool with a grammar error here and there. That's not everybody's strength. But
Mhm.
like, don't have me at the end of the email. I don't know what you're talking about. Or you
Right.
make Facebook like, I don't know what you're asking me. What's the ask? Like when I make posts, you know what I want. I want your money. I want your like. I want your
Mhm.
share. I want your time. Like we have to be. I think as millennials, as really everybody, but especially millennials, because we understand social media and the currency that comes with it,
Mhm.
that we have to decide to use it as a tool to actually ask for what we want. And if we're not using it that way, it's free. Then what are we doing? Just
Right.
playing?
And ask
Just
for you what you want in a certain way, right? Not just like throw it out there like, hey, cash out me $5. Like not that kind of ask for what you want, but like being very intentional about what your intents are and what this is supporting, like what the request that you're requesting is actually doing for the cause that you're supporting.
absolutely, absolutely. We have ours broken down. I don't know if you can hear Reese,
I
mom,
can't
wife.
hear you.
Sorry. We have ours broken down literally into like I can tell you if you give me $500, here's what I can do with it. If you give me
Mm,
$500, here's what I can do with
right.
it. Five, one, 50, 25, 10. Like I can do something with your $10. Let me tell you what. And I took the time to because I understand that people give based on impact. Like they want to know like what is my money really going to. Passion is great, but I've learned that passion fizzles
Mm,
and people get bored with passion and they want to see results.
yeah.
Talk all day. But if 5 years from now, Megan, y'all still see me on Facebook, like, give me at Christmas time, like, well, what you been doing all the rest of them? Like, whatever you're bringing it needs to be, you need to find a way to sustain what you're doing. But I'm
Yeah.
gonna get back to those. I did get distracted. So for me as a nonprofit executive director, it's important that I have amazing people skills.
Okay.
Like, it's it seems cliche to talk about the power of networking, but the things that I've acquired just by the people that I've met over the years
Mm-hmm.
are unbelievable. It's important that we get outside of our circles and by outside of our circles, I mean outside of Columbia,
Mm-hmm.
um, outside of wherever it is that you live, and meet people in the same industry because then you can find out trends and things that people are doing in other places that might not be happening here. In March of 2016, April of 2016, I went to a conference in Chicago, Fight for a Future Summit.
Okay.
It's a violence prevention and criminal justice reform conference. And there I met Melron Kelly, who is the city of Columbia deputy chief of police. And
Wow.
so, yeah. And so they're
Chicago
like,
places.
isn't it crazy? They were like, we want everybody from South Carolina to take a picture. So four of us go up there. I only know one other person in the picture. And I'm like, y'all from Columbia? And like, yeah. And I'm like, that was crazy.
Yeah.
So he said, I don't know who you are. And that's not okay with me being a deputy chief of police.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all are coming out of state to a criminal justice reform conference. I need to know why you're here. What are your interests
Mm-hmm.
so that I can make sure that we're connected. It was like such a smart and like it was a good move, right?
It was
So
very insightful on his part because he could have
yeah,
just been like, "Oh, hey, fellow South Carolinians, all right, see y'all later."
he took us to dinner. He took all of us to dinner, treated us to dinner, and went around the table and was like, "What do you do? What do you do? What do you do? What do you need? What do you need? What do you need?" And I was like, "Money and space.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a shy ass also. That's something I don't mind asking. I've gotten better at it. At first it was hard to ask, but I'm not a shy ass anymore. I said I need money, I need space. 3 months later, he called me and told me he had a building. We
Wow.
now are housed in the bottom floor of the City of Columbia substation on Lady Street, and we do not pay a red penny.
Are you serious?
Not one.
Wow.
Yeah.
The
And
power.
you've seen the pictures of the space.
It's beautiful. It's
It's pretty.
beautiful. Y'all
It's
are gonna
pretty.
see it too. I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna overlay it on this video, but it's beautiful. That's amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah. And I always tell that story because I I I don't know when I would have run into him or
Right.
known that he was dope enough to. He's on our board now. He is one of the, and I don't, and everybody knows this, so this is no secret. I don't do police, and
Mm-hmm.
so I would have never been trying to meet him
Mm-hmm.
because I don't really
It
have an
wouldn't have been a
interest.
natural encounter that you would have
I don't
intentionally tried
meet
to do.
you. No, I wasn't going up in there. So when I met him and I heard his story, I mean, he told his story, which you might want to interview him. He's not a millennial. I don't know. We'll have to look at the dates. But his story is amazing. It brought me to tears. And sees policing the way that I see. He sees policing young people the way that I see policing young people.
Mm-hmm.
And as being a deputy chief and
Mm-hmm.
having that mindset and living that mindset, I was like, we gotta have him.
That's essential. That is
Yeah,
essential.
yeah. And that was a part of the deal. He was like, that was sort of the way we're like, you rub my back, I rub yours. Come be on the board and help us do this work. He's like, and come use the space.
That's amazing, Zakiya.
Yeah.
So you talked about the passion, right? Which
Hmm.
it comes, it goes, it's always there underlying, the cause, whatever the cause is for the particular person.
Hmm.
How does that passion for you translate into the actual youth that you work with at Sowing Seeds? Like your passion and creativity, I feel like come through in your programming. Like I'm thinking about your summer program and Skylar's Garden and those types of initiatives that you have going on with the youth. So how do you maintain that, and then how do you use that to supplement your programming?
Yeah. I don't even think I think that's the beauty of having a passion. You
Mm-hmm.
don't really think about it, you know? You just do like, I mean, when I wrote this in 2011, there's a part in here about therapeutic gardening. And I know that I didn't know then how that would come about.
Mm-hmm.
And so, if you know anything about our gardening program, Skylar's Garden, it's named after one of our young people who passed away in a really tragic car accident. And so we always talked about gardening. And when he passed, I said, okay, so this is a way that he can continue to live. Like, we're going to grow things like in his name. Like, things are going to live in his name.
Right.
And he didn't give me no trouble. I'm not, look, Skylar he never gave me any smoke. I don't see what it is that people, were sending him to me for. And I say that about all of my kids. I'm like, I don't know what y'all are talking about. Why y'all sending them over here? These are great kids. But he was a good kid, and I'm so honored that his family gave me their blessing to do that. And so there's a passion that I have about that garden, partly because of who it's named after, but
Okay.
the other part is because I know that our kids need to know where food comes from. They go back there and they see a broccoli plant, which I will be honest, when they started growing, I was like, "Is this broccoli?" We don't know what it looks like, Megan.
Right.
We don't know what it looks
I know,
like.
I saw your pictures when you maybe got your first crop, and I was like, that's what broccoli looks like, huh?
That's what broccoli looks like. I didn't know what the cabbage was. Like, the more it grew, I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, we have a gardening mentor, Mr. Ed. He's awesome. And like, I think I called him every week when stuff was really starting. I was like, "Are you sure this is cabbage? This is cabbage." And he was like, "Zakiya, we planted cabbage.
Well,
Like, nothing looks like it
so
looks in the store."
you go get it in the store, yeah.
Yeah,
Especially if it's like chopped up in a bag and frozen, or like, of course, canned in some aluminum
right.
cylinder.
Or that, like, a lot of the vegetables that we eat, they throw away most of it. So like a cabbage, when we buy it, and I'm so off subject right now, but I'm just gonna do this real quick. It's like this ball. You saw that cabbage I picked, right?
Yeah.
They're like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Leaves,
and they
leaves.
throw all those leaves away. They just grab the ball out of the middle.
Wow.
Like, why? I think the biggest point with the garden for me is that a lot of our young people in 2018 now, they don't go outside. Like, they don't get in the dirt. Like on Christmas, we were riding up to my mom's house. Like nobody outside riding bikes. Nobody. The kids don't go outside.
Yeah, like that was the thing. Like you get your new bike, your scooter, your little
We was putting coats on
yellow car
pajamas.
thing.
Yes, like we gotta put this coat on our PJs, mom, so we can get outside on these toys. Like, no,
Mhm.
nobody's outside. And so our kids build a garden by hand. So they get uh-oh, now my battery's talking about dying. We're gonna press through.
Okay.
They get they get those, hands-on skills. They learn how to work with tools.
Mhm.
We actually give them jobs. Like, so we have like a safety patrol person, and we have like a project manager, and we have someone who's, like so that's job readiness
Yeah.
skills. And then gardening is therapeutic, literally just being with your hands in the dirt and being connected to nature in that way. But we also talk to them like we do a lot of fun stuff, and I tell people all the time, like, it looks like we play all day. We have real conversations. So when they're in the garden and they come out there and they can't tell the difference between something we planted and something that's a weed, I always take that opportunity to say to them, in life, sometimes we plant things, and if we leave what we planted unattended long enough, the weeds grow, and weeds grow faster.
Mhm.
And so sometimes you go back to look at this beautiful crop that you planted, and something that you did not put there is bigger
Mhm.
than something you planted. So that's why we have to tend to our lives like we tend to the garden. That's why we have to make sure that we pluck in weeds just as much as we sow in seeds.
Yes.
And so I look at our kids that way. We think that we could just tell them all these good things, but some of the things that are coming up in our kids is not stuff that we planted.
Mhm.
They have a whole world out there that's planting seeds that when we turn our back, stuff is getting planted. So we got to be willing to do the weeding.
Yeah.
We got to weed, and we got to be willing to do the. Nobody want to pull weeds. So we sow seeds, but we also no, nobody want to do that. And not only that, I get to see them how if you let a seed come onto a plant, if a plant seeds, so our lettuce, for instance, we were pulling this beautiful red leaf lettuce. I think I got 50 or 60 bags off like 12-gallon bags of red. And that stuff is expensive.
Right.
It's expensive. Gallon bags of red leaf lettuce. And I think we went 2 weeks without going back there, and they started growing seeds.
Mm.
So once they grow a seed, they don't produce any more fruit. So no more lettuce once the seed grows. And so I always try to help them find a lesson in that. So like, what does that mean? Like, how can we relate that to life? Like we need to always be sowing so that we can always be reaping. As soon as you stop sowing, like, okay, so you got the fruit. That's it. If you leave it long enough, it's not gonna just keep giving.
Right.
These stocks. Your life is not stocks.
Right. It's a cycle.
So
It goes in cycles. It's ongoing. It's
that's
dynamic. It's not static.
that's it. And so I try to help them realize, because young people are like us. Like we do something good, like mess around and let me drink water for a whole day. The next day I'm like, I'm all set on that water thing because I drink. I mean, I'm honest. I have my own stuff. And so I try to make sure that I'm diligent with them too. Like, y'all, yeah, we had a good week this week, but next week coming for us, we
Mm.
gotta always be ready. And so those are the ways and that's kind of what I was saying at the beginning. I don't have to look for passion. And
Mhm.
it's not something that I think about, when sometimes I wake up with ideas, or I'm riding in the car and I can pull over and type a note of
Mhm.
something like, oh, we can do this, or oh, we can do that, or I hear a radio commercial. I'm like, we're going to this and that. And while all of that is great, I'm gonna be real with you, Megan. I gotta get out of that because where our organization is, it's time for somebody else to have the opportunity to be that passionate. Um, my coach told me the other day, and she kind of snatched my edges when she said it. She said, passion can be dangerous. I was like, what do you mean? She was like, mothers can be passionate. She said, but what if you're a bad mother
Mhm.
and you blinded by your passion, you know? And I said, are you calling me a bad mother? She said, no, children. And I was like, okay. I'm clear that like me being so passionate about what I'm doing could be stunting the growth of my organization.
Mhm.
Sometimes we have to step away from the passion. And as
Yeah.
millennials, that's so hard because we are so passionate.
Right. And especially if it's something that you created and you came up with, it's like it's your baby, it's your third child, you know.
Oh yeah.
Grassroots from the ground up. That's where you built this, and now when it's time to let go or step back, it's like, but
Ooh,
how do I do that? Like,
ooh. It's hard. It's
yeah,
hard. I have an intern now. She's awesome from USC, and I have slowly allowed some things to trickle to her.
yeah.
And great. She
How
actually
does
just
that feel for you?
it was hard at first. Like I literally was like crafting emails and sending them to her, like, can you send this to so and so? I'm like, that's not we can't be like that.
Mm-hmm.
Another part of that for me is that, and I'm gonna be all the way real. I don't know if we meant to get this real, but I'm gonna tell you the whole truth, the dirty truth, Megan.
You want it all.
I'm gonna tell it. So I came to the realization within the last month that if anything happened to me, sowing season to the Midlands would die.
Mm.
Like it would be no more. And so what that means is that sowing season to the Midlands is about me. And for it to be about these kids and the fact that I really believe that kids need this, it can't be about me.
Yeah.
I have to be willing to open it up and to share it and to allow the community to really be a part, not just to like stuff and share stuff and like, be a sideline cheerleader. I really need the community to get involved and be that volunteering until we can raise enough money to have staff or volunteering as a mentor. If you don't have time to donate, that's always helpful. But to really have true buy-in to what we're doing so that I can continue to help us grow versus me doing the program element.
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, this summer this is the part I was gonna say, the ugly part. During the summer camp, I had to shut down for a week. I got shingles
Mm.
at 30 years old.
First of all, I did not know that you had shingles. I should have talked to you about my last post that I did. But second of all, yeah, you had to shut down for a week. So what happened in that week? Like there was just nothing going on. And then like shingles, like, if you have that pain, that lasts for a while. So how did
It
you
was
recover?
really painful. I just was like, okay. Well, the doctor and I know they were like, no, you're stressed out. And I was like, I'm not stressed out. She was like, "You're overwhelmed. Call it what you want. You're doing too much." And I was like, maybe a little. And the crazy thing was I was so excited. Like I was so like, this is the best thing ever. But it was too much. And so I vowed not to move for that week. I was like, for real. And it happened to be the 4th of July. So I was able to kind of tell the kids like, hey, just, enjoy your break. It's a holiday week.
Like take the week off, the holiday week.
Meanwhile, I got shingles, like full shingles. And it was painful. And I really took it easy and took the meds and like followed all the orders and like stayed away from my kids. So like now I can even be with my own kids.
Right.
And just tried to recover. And when I got back the next week, I just was really careful. I covered up. I told them like no, because a lot of people don't realize they're teenagers, but they are handsy. Like somebody's always laying on me or like, so I had to be like, y'all can't touch Miss Z for a couple of weeks. And they're like, we can't touch you. But I had to tell them, and also for the sake of transparency and being honest and authentic, because kids can smell a lot like that. They
Mm-hmm.
always know when we fronting. They always know they always know when I'm fronting every time. And so there was a lesson there too. But I said all that to say my passion is great and I think it's gotten us this far. But I can also acknowledge, and I really want to emphasize this to millennials and to anybody that's looking at starting anything, that passion can fizzle.
Mm-hmm.
I think running purely on passion without any strategy, without being coachable, without having a coach or, a strategic plan or some sort of structure, um, it won't survive.
Yeah.
It's like hustle.
That's
Hustle's
the
not
foundation.
sustainable.
That's the foundation that you're talking about. Like you have to have that in order to grow and continue to grow. And then the point that you brought up about your organization being able to survive without you, that's
Mhm.
critical because, the reason that you did this, it wasn't for you, it was for the youth that you're helping. And
Mhm.
so people will want to know when they're getting into something, getting into a space that, keep in mind that it's not about you. And that's not just to say that like, oh, you went out and tried to intentionally make it about you, but something can end up being about you inadvertently. And you have to be cognizant of that. Like you said, continually sowing, continually pulling weeds so that you can continue to sow into the future. So yeah, that's a really important point, I think.
Yeah, and nobody told me until this coach. That's why I'm so grateful for her because
Yeah.
she's
So
like,
where did you find her, or how did you find her?
I I found her. Someone referred me to her on Facebook. She actually lives in California,
Oh,
and
okay. So y'all do
yep,
like virtual sessions.
and
Okay.
it's yeah. She has a mentoring group where like you can be in the group. I think there are 23 of us,
Okay.
and you literally get a challenge every day. And the questions at first glance are like, Psh, I didn't say that, and then I go to answer, and I'm like, let me think about that. Let me think. And you have to go live in the group and answer. So you can't like, because if I could write it, girl,
Yeah. And you're a
what?
good writer too. Like you'll be, yeah, no.
She was like, no, I need you to go live. Oh, okay. And every time, I don't know, I don't think she sleeps. Every time any of us, there are 23 of us, and she's in California, go live, she watches.
Wow.
And so it's not like, oh, I'm going live and you're gonna get to critique me later. So I'm
Mhm.
going live, and as I'm going live, you popping me questions. Like it's a lot. But what I'm so grateful for is the fact that she's not there's something that happens when people don't really know the industry, and a lot of people that are in my immediate network, they don't know my industry. So
Mhm.
that I say, they're really impressed by it. She's like, yeah, no, we're gonna do some more.
So she brings you the real.
Girl, every day. She
So
don't
if
have
someone wanted to find a coach like that, like what would they look up? Like what is her profession called? Like what kind of coach is she?
she literally calls herself she's Jennifer Yarborough, the nonprofit guru.
Okay.
And I think how I found her is because people kept coming to me asking me to help them start nonprofits.
Mhm.
And I am not a nonprofit, obviously, but I am anti people starting a nonprofit, just start a nonprofit.
Mhm.
No one should ever be like, I want to start a nonprofit. What should I do? No, nonprofits are supposed to derive from issues.
Right. The issue
Like,
comes first. It's not like you want to start a nonprofit and then you figure out what the issue is. Like
you have no idea how many people I get so many messages, and I have still not found a nice way to be like, that's not how it works. And I don't know how else to say it, but that's not how it works.
I
But
think you
she,
just gotta say it.
I do, and I don't, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to be mean. I don't want to, but that's not how it works. You want to come over here and help me? Like, I know a million nonprofit. Like, if you want to help people, go help people. But
Yeah.
you don't have to start a nonprofit. But I was asking someone like, do you know where I can funnel these people?
Mhm.
Were telling me that I should start a consulting business. And I was like, not today. My stuff is
Mhm.
put together enough to start a consulting business. And someone referred me to her. And I'm sending people to her like left and right. Like, go talk to Jen, go talk to Jen.
Mhm.
Um, I saw a live video that she did, and she's phenomenal. She's got over 30 years of experience in the industry, and has written millions and millions and millions of dollars of grants and overseen, Girl Scouts of America. Like she's done it.
Yeah, she's legit.
Yeah, yeah. And she don't make no apologies. She's not impressed. Like I honestly say that all these years that I've been doing this, that's not that many, but over the years, the response that I usually get, people are impressed. And so I've gotten into a space where I'm not used to being challenged, and I'm not
Mhm.
used to being for someone expecting anything more of me than what I'm doing. I'm used to people being like, oh. So I find it really refreshing to be with someone who's pushing me.
Yeah, and that's important for growth too, to have somebody like pushing you forward, not just like, oh, this whole path is just here for me to walk down. Everybody's clapping and
Yeah,
supportive. Like you need that. You need that to.
I do. I do. She's great. She's worth every penny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, every
All
penny.
right. So based on all of that, that whole trajectory,
Uh-huh.
where you see Sowing Seeds going into the future, and then what for millennials who may be considering the nonprofit path or may have an issue that they care deeply about and want to start a nonprofit for it, what would be your biggest suggestions for them?
Okay. So our plan is to expand Sowing Seeds into from the Midlands into the Low Country and
Okay.
into the state.
And the
Um,
Low Country is Charleston. It's for you non-South Carolinians, the Charleston
and
area down there.
yeah, You know, we
Would be what, like Greenville?
get Greenville, Spartanburg.
Yeah.
Um, I just remember those areas needing just as much support as Richland County. Um, and I mean, when I first started, that paper says Sowing Seeds into the Low Country, so that
Mhm.
was the original name, because that's where I was. But we have to lay this. We have to get it right here first. We just that's that. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
But I really enjoy speaking on a larger scale too. I like speaking at conferences and I like speaking
Mhm.
at, schools, and that's not something we've done a whole lot of in the past. But more and more each year we get more opportunities like that. And so I'm hoping that as those continue to make themselves available, that can be something that I can do for Zakiya versus,
Mhm.
a sowing seeds thing. I enjoy it. And it doesn't tie me down to doing a 6-week course like at
Right,
Seeds,
right,
a 1-day thing.
right.
Um,
And you're just an amazing speaker, so that's like a natural use of your talents.
I have fun, and that's what I really want to encourage millennials to do more of, what you
Mhm.
enjoy. You know,
Mhm.
I don't feel like I'm working when I'm at the Seeds house. As a matter of fact, my husband has to call me and he's like, it's getting dark. And not because like of the kids or anything, but he's like, you work downtown. Like you can't walk outside by
Yeah.
yourself.
Like just safety reasons, like you need to get in your car and come home.
And I'm like, oh, I just got here. But I just love it that much. And so it doesn't feel like work. That's how you end up with shingles. And you're like, but I'm not stressed out. Like I was serious. I wasn't being funny.
No, I found from personal experience, like your body processes your stress way before your mind. At least in my case, I won't generalize that to everybody, but like it takes a lot for me to mentally feel stressed. But my body will shut down, and I'll be like, oh, guess I've been doing a lot lately. Maybe I need to go lay down.
Oh, I guess I'm tired because it stopped. It stopped. Exactly. Um, so that's where I see it going. And
Okay.
expansion is the plan. I don't see national, but people tell me that all the time. I'm not opposed to it. I'm just
Mhm.
like, can we get it right here? Can we
Mhm.
get it right here? Um, and what would I advise? What would be my piece of advice for millennials looking to
Mhm.
start a nonprofit, right?
Mhm.
Okay. I always think I sound anti-nonprofit and I feel so bad. But it's just I the nonprofit industry is a $2 trillion industry.
Trillion with a TR.
We are.
Two of
Okay. I need millennials to understand that this is a business, and I'm talking to myself, right?
them.
So I'm saying this from a position of this is what I didn't understand. So this is a business, and there are expectations of you that are actually above the expectations of like an LLC or a corporation. Once you have that 501(c)(3) tax status, you have to. Reese is wild.
Hey, Reese, he gonna be up all night again?
Megan, I cannot. I cannot. I can't live Reese and his bed. Um, but that it can't be something. Sort of what I just said. It can't be something that we're willing to just start and let die when we're done with it.
Mhm.
Responsible, because whoever our constituents are, whoever the people that we're impacting or trying to impact, then we leave them in the dust. We leave them back where we started. And so we have to be sure that this is the way we want to impact, because there are so many ways to impact. You can volunteer with other organizations, you can donate to other organizations. I came upstairs to get away from the noise. It
He's
sounds
like,
like
Mom, it's time for you to come back down. Where did you go?
a thing though, like what are y'all doing? But there are so many things you can consider before starting your own. Um, and so I encourage millennials to do your research to make sure that there's not somebody in the area already doing what you do. I called around. I went and visited. I was like, hey, here's some of the things that I saw, when I was at DJJ. And here's some of the ways I think. And people were like, no, we don't want your help. So in that sense, I felt like I didn't have a choice.
Mhm.
I didn't have a choice. And even while I was at DJJ, I was reaching out to other nonprofits that were supposed to be helping these kids. Like, hey, can I help you help?
Mhm.
But I have the kids. Do you need kids? I got kids. You want me to help you? Like, and nobody was interested. And so I think step one, make sure there's not somebody out there with a mission that's really similar to yours that you can support. Because if you can support them, then you should be satisfied with getting the mission done. It shouldn't have to
Mm-hmm.
be your name. If it has to be in your name,
And it's
that's
about you. Yep.
and we need to get that. We got to get that, Megan, because and it baffles me. People come to me and tell me they want to start a mentoring program. And I mean, it's not that I'm the only person that can have a mentoring program, but like, would you not just want to help me with mine?
Mm-hmm.
Why do you want to start a mentoring program if there's one here that needs help?
Mm-hmm.
It- it's a little to ask me, it's kind of like, well, I'm saying that I need help.
Bold. It's a little bold.
I just sometimes I wonder. Sometimes I wonder, but I would also advise millennials to always remain their authentic selves in the nonprofit industry. One of my favorite things about it is that you can be whoever and whatever you want, and people
Mm-hmm.
seriously. It's a very non-traditional space, and the only thing about it is that people will sniff you out if you're fake.
Okay.
Don't so I get to go into meetings. I tell people all the time the biggest grant I've ever gotten so far it's $30,000, and I got that grant wearing leggings, a sweatshirt, and with Reese on my hip. Like I signed it. Like I signed the
Your
contract.
authentic self.
Yeah, and the people that gave me that grant, like they know me, and they know the work that I do, and they respect the work that I do, and they sought me out for the grant. I didn't apply for it,
Mm.
you know, and that's because I've done the footwork of making sure that people in the community know who I am and know what I'm about. And so it doesn't matter if I wear leggings. I'm gonna get this work done.
That goes
And
back to that networking and building like genuine relationships with people.
absolutely. The 2 biggest grants I've gotten, I didn't ask for. And so when people know you and the 2 biggest grants I've gotten, the house, like I didn't ask for the,
Mhm.
people call I got a $10,000 check in the mail in 2016. Like I went to my mailbox and it was a $10,000 check from the Central Carolina Community Foundation from their Cheerful Giver Fund. And so I called and I was like, "Hey, I got some mail from you." And they were like, "Oh, good." And I was like, "Well, I didn't apply."
Yeah, tell me more, please.
Right, but what is this? And they were like, "No, there was an application process. We have a donor who wanted to give away $10,000 a week from Thanksgiving to December, and
Mm.
he decided that the first check would go to you, and so you're welcome." And that only happened because they know me.
Yeah.
You know? So that's my advice. Understand it's a business. Be you, because you can't keep up a fake. Like you can't fake it as long as you're gonna need to fake it.
Mm-hmm.
The real is going to come out. Be you, understand it's a business, and make sure people know who you are and what you're doing and what you're about.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's money out here. And I know 30,000 and 10,000. It's not a whole lot of money. It's not millions of dollars. But I didn't ask for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say to just come to you, like that's a lot of money to
That's
just fall in your lap, so to speak. You did the background work, the networking and the meeting people and getting
right.
yourself out there, but as for like actively requesting that money, no, it just
Literally
was
went to
meant to be.
I went to the mailbox. That was a beautiful surprise.
I would be excited to go to the mailbox every day if I was getting checks
Girl,
out.
when Thanksgiving come around, I do get a little like, I wonder if they thought about me. Like, and this year and for 2017 they didn't, and you know what? That's okay because Stephen Hughes, No Money
Hmm.
Inc. I thought of him, and so I'm always just making sure that people that look like us are being thought of, and
Hmm.
that people that look like us are in the space because a lot of the people that are giving out money, we don't even know that they exist. We
Yeah.
don't things
We don't even know that there's money to give out first. Like, let's just go all the way back. Like, we don't even know that the money exists to be given out, let alone be the
as
recipient of that. So yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's important. So I think I could go on for days and days and days. But I will say millennials get a bad rap.
Hmm.
I appreciate this platform giving us a chance. We are not traditional. Like, I got a skirt on my head and leggings, and I'm like an executive. I get it. Like, moms don't, but my mom's like, can we just she's like, you don't have no slacks I do.
No, what was your tip
Several.
now? Be your authentic self, right? Like that's gotten you this far.
Oh, y'all gonna get these wet.
You see my purple hair? Like I got a daytime job. It's all good. Like, you know, I'm a pharmacist. It's okay. You know, we can switch it up a little bit. As long as you hold down the fort where it needs to be held down, you're making progress in the areas that you want to work on. You know, you're holding it down in your personal life.
Right.
That's you. Just be you.
Yeah. And we make and by doing that, I think we make room for other people to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, when some of my girls come behind me, they won't be the first ones to walk into their offices with a, you know, with a wrap. Like, I'll take the looks so that she doesn't have to.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that, like, it's a lot less than what the people that came before us did. I'm clear, you know, I'm not I'm trying to make any comparisons in that light, but I think the more we normalize accepting authenticity, as long as it's not inappropriate, you
Right.
know, then people will be more comfortable showing up as themselves. And I work better when I feel comfortable with being me.
Right. You're more productive when you feel comfortable in your environment and like comfortable with the people that you're also working with. Like if
Yeah.
I'm being inauthentic around somebody, that relationship is not a genuine relationship because I'm not being myself. I'm being this facade of a person that I feel like you think I should be.
Right.
Whereas if I'm just being myself, then, you know, we build a genuine relationship. We're all more productive. We're all working towards the mission that we're here to accomplish. So, yeah.
Put me in some heels and watch how fast I try to get out the office. I got to get home. I got to get out. So yes, I'm so glad you're doing this. I think it's awesome. I'm excited.
Thank you. I'm so glad you agreed to do this. This was like an amazing first interview. I'm so appreciative and so happy to see all of your success with Sowing Seeds. That video is beautiful. So I'm definitely going to link it in this video below. And I can't wait to see what you all are doing in 2018.
Well, it's gonna be busy because they're like, yeah, we need a longer camp, and I'm like, 7
They're
weeks.
trying to be there all summer.
Like how long? How much longer? 7 weeks.
Like
I
y'all
don't.
do have to go back to school, you know.
They don't.
That is awesome. Well, thank you so much, Zakiya. I wish
Work.
you all the best this year, and we'll definitely be in touch here at Lazy Millennial. Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome.